This episode of FilmRiot is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on FilmRiot, we're using 3D objects in After Effects. That looks real.
That's because it is.
So are these. That looks like my record player.
That's because it is.
What? Use your words.
It's a gun.
I can see that. And?
I said it's a shrinking gun.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No.
I think I know what I said, Josh.
Well, I know what I heard, Eris.
Okay, never mind. You're missing the fact that I can shrink things with this thing.
Wow. Where'd you get it?
A yard sale.
You bought it from a yard sale?
Well, not actually bought. Hey, if they don't want people dipping their hands in the cookie jar, don't leave the lid off it. You feel me?
You stole from a yard sale.
Well, it wasn't actually a yard sale.
You know what? Never mind. I don't even want to know.
Josh, over here! Josh!
Oh yeah, that.
Joshua! In the building! 21st floor!
Ryan?
Yes! Eric shrunk me!
You look like a little Ken doll.
An ugly one.
F you!
An ugly little Ken doll.
This is serious! Eric shrunk me!
Right. Unshrink him.
Can't, Eris. Seriously, this thing is a one-way trip as it turns out.
You didn't test it first?
Bro, it shrinks things. I got overzealous, so sue me.
Oh no.
I guess it wears off.
Oh boy.
Yeah, definitely wears off.
Runner stay.
Well, at least Ryan's gonna get back to normal.
Eris, runner stay.
That's a bright side.
Runner stay! Runner stay! Logo. Welcome to FilmRiot, the show that takes the mystery out of the effects and techniques. One of some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and today we're talking about using 3D in your project without needing to know difficult 3D software. Thanks to this fine gentleman here. Hey mate, I've been wondering about Element 3D. You think you could do a review? Looks like a great solution for 3D. Hey, you know, so that's pretty much it. I mean, you know me, so yep. And yep. The second Element came out, I was all over this thing. For me, it was one of the most exciting things to happen to After Effects. The thing is, I'm not a 3D artist. I know very little about 3D programs, and I really don't have the time or patience to even dive into them. But I've really been wanting to, since there are very specific things that I would like to be able to add to my projects, all of which involve 3D objects. Enter Element, which basically handles all my needs. This bad boy is a plugin for After Effects created by the fine folks over at Video Copilot, which of course is Andrew Kramer's company. But as always, before we get into this, since I know there's people that are always bound to say it, no, this is not an ad. I'm not getting paid for this. Video Copilot has nothing to do with this episode in any way, shape, or form at all. This is my real opinion. And with that out of the way, to get into Element, you will need to create a solid inside of After Effects, then add Element. Then click Scene Setup. This will open the Element software, which feels similar to how Optical Flares is set up. Inside, you have your preview window, material browser, your editing areas, and down here, the model browser, which Element ships with a couple of cool starter models, but if you really want to pimp yourself out,
This is the player's school.
you can jump over to Video Copilot's site and grab some of their model packs, including their new Metropolitan pack, which is where I got the building model for the opening sketch. Now, once you've grabbed a few and installed them, they will all populate here in the model browser. So I can go over to the fresh foods and grab something like an apple, delicious apple, which you can see is a very high quality model, or over to Metropolitan to find the building that I used right here, which I will click on to bring into the preview window, which now I can check out my model and make adjustments. Up here in the scene tab, you see I have a few textures for my model, so now I can totally change the look by grabbing one of the materials from my preset library up here and dragging and dropping. And now we have a little golden trophy building. There's also a ton of other models that you can get through their other packs, like projectile weapons, which have so much goodness that would appeal to the average film rioter. Look at that. The possibilities. And of course Sound Music, where I found the record player I used, which I found this model a little bit more cartoony, so it didn't fully fit into the real world, but still a very cool model. Now, although they have great models for you to use, you aren't limited to that. If you can model, you can bring in your OBJ file into Element and use them there. Or if you're like me and you can't model to save your life, you can still get new models of any kind. Jump over to a site like turbosquid.com, search out the model that you need, make sure it has an OBJ file, download, and bring it into Element. This is actually how I got all the Mario assets that I did in the Tim episode a few months back. You just bring in your model, then over in the edit panel, you will set your texture by clicking here, finding the texture for your model, and ta-da! And just like before, you can add any material that you want to get this into any kind of look that you would enjoy. But that is basically the inside of this delightful plugin and how it works. Now a quick break, and we will talk more about animation and 3D text. Domain.com is the place to go if you're looking to get yourself a business selling beer ears.
What?
Beer ears. So it's like, you know how you can have beer goggles and like people look good and they were like weren't, but now they're like really attractive?
Yeah.
Beer ears, everybody sounds smart.
That's not a
So
good
like
idea.
when you go to a place where it's like overwrought with ignorance and you're like, everybody's so stupid, you put on beer ears and then boom, awesome conversation all the time.
But that's really dangerous.
Awesome, right? You can go to domain.com to get this business on the web. Why? Because they've got awesome hosting and wonderful domain name helpacies, like their domain discovery system that will help you pick the name that's right for you, like beerears.com or beerearseverybody'sinteresting.com, for instance. And if you want to save some cashola, you can use a coupon code FilmRiot at checkout, score 15% off your domain name and web hosting. So to kick off your Beer Ears website, go to domain.com.
Logo.
Okay, so one of the things that I've been using Element for the most is 3D text. This has made my show bumper life so much easier, especially since we are such a low budget team of not many people. This is a way to save hours and dollars, and here's how it works. Jump into After Effects, add Element, then add a text of what you want, like, yeah, perfect. Now you can hide that text, then click on your element layer, then in the Effects tab, go to Custom Layers, then Custom Text and Masks, and select your text layer from the drop-down menu. Now go into Scene Setup, and inside of that, click Extrude, and there you have it. Now you can add a material to get the look that you want, and you are good to go. Another freaking awesome thing that you can do is Extrude Mass. For instance, create a solid, then make a shape, whatever shape you want with a mask, then go through the same steps I just showed you to turn that into a 3D object. So if you have a logo you like, you can easily turn that mother lover into 3D just like that. But now that we have our text, we can finish designing our project out with some more 3D goodness by going back in and selecting some more models, and we're going to be sure to put them on different groups, because now, back in After Effects, I can animate each of those groups separately to create whatever I want. I use the same method to create a bunch of our show bumpers like this one. But there you have it. That is the quick and dirty of what Element is and what you can do with it. Now, to be clear, this doesn't even come close to replacing 3D software like Max, Blender, Cinema 4D, or any of the others. It doesn't have 1/100th of the control or abilities that those programs do, but it is a godsend for people like me or even 3D artists as an extra tool, since there is a lot more real-time control here. There is a lot that you could do to save you time to just jump in and do things like text that you really don't need the complex software for. But that's it. I pretty much have nothing but love for this plugin, which is totally worth the purchase. And so far, the only complaint that I have is that since After Effects doesn't see Element as a 3D layer, when you go to top view, you don't see where the model is in 3D space. So placing it in the scene can be a challenge every now and again, but I'm still learning it, so as I become more experienced with it, I'm sure that will become less and less of an issue for me. Now, I know I didn't get into how we did the actual VFX in the opening sketch, but I will. Next week, we're gonna dive into how we put 3D objects in a scene using Element. This was just the initial jump into the plugin to show you what it does and its awesomeness. But until then, make sure you check out Element on Video Copilot's site and all of Andrew's videos, since it's just so much dang goodness. Also, if you have not seen our show Variant, hosted by our very own Eris Quinones, I have the perfect episode for you guys to jump in on. Probably my favorite episode so far, actually. In this new episode, Eris casts the Justice League, and he has some surprisingly awesome choices. So check that out right here. And also, if you're looking to slap some filmmaking sexiness on your body, check out our Triune merch store and get that movie loving goodness all up on you. But that's it. Twitter And I'll see you guys next week when I con villages with the help of my talking dragon.